I'm kind of on the next step of our project here, and the project is to make bus bars for my packs that I've made. And how you do that is I've got this 6-gauge solid wire that I have 500 feet of. Normally you would use stranded wire, which would make it easier, but I have this. You put it in a vise, you tighten it down, you have it in a drill like so, and you can see it's crooked, right? You just turn it like this. And it makes it almost as straight as an arrow. I'll show you the next step. The next step I do is I mark these at 1 inch and 1 5/8 inches. All of these. The next step I do with my rod is I go to the 1 5/8 inch mark, put it in the vise, right there by the line, tighten it up, hammer, and bend it over 90 degrees. Try to keep it as straight as possible. Then I bring it up to the 1 inch mark, which I have marked right there with a magic marker. Grab a little needle nose, bend it slightly if I can, and I use this edge to bring it up 90 degrees. And that is the finished product of that. I then put my two pieces on a brick, and I try to keep it about 1 3/4 inches apart at the back side here, because that's how it is on a pack. You lay out your bus bar and keep this flat. And the next step would be to put some flux on it. The reason being is that I'm going to solder that little bit to hold it in before I put my crimp on there. And I use 60-40 solder and a torch. And I heat it up. And that's that process right there. And now I'm going to let it cool down a little bit before I do my next step. Okay, as I say, I clean this up. I smash this number 4 down so it's like that to fit in here, and then I slip it in position. The next step would be I'm going to do a 2-step process. I'm going to use this crimp, which I got at Harbor Freight, which is, I've used it so many times. It's a great little crimp. And the next thing would be I'm going to heat this up and solder it. That's it. Now I'm going to let it cool down and I'm going to crimp it. Now I'm going to crimp it in position. I'm going to crimp this in position, and I'm using a number 4, the right one for it. And actually, how I got this block, it actually sits on here nice and neat, so I can crimp it in position without trying to bend my wires. This thing puts about 1,250 pounds of pressure on that copper fitting. And there it is. Double whammy, a double joint to hold that in position. I'm using the standard way of putting cells into packs with these that I learned from Peter Matthews. And this is what the finished bus bar looks like. And I've made them 22 inches long. And again, I bend it at 1 5/8, which is right there. And then the middle portion is at 1 inch. And I try to keep them about 1 3/4 inches apart here. And that is the finished bus bar. I'm coming across an idea that may save me a step in the process of soldering and crimping my end terminals. These are welding terminals, by the way. And as I say, I got these from Missouri Wind and Solar. They when you order something from them, they get it to you in a few days. Again, I just tap these down a little bit. And what I'm going to do is that I'm going to put this on here. Tap it down a little bit more. Make sure it's on there as far as I can get it, which is right about there. Again, check my measurements, so it's about 1 3/4 inches, right on the money. And I'm going to try to solder them. Well, I've done one before. It saves a step. I have about 100 of these to do. I have 43 packs, 100 cell packs done so far. The goal is 56, and I think I'll get it done, but 42 packs is 40 kilowatts. So, and that's good. I'm waiting for it to change color, which it just did there. There. The last one was successful, so it saves me a step. I just want to mention one more thing. Sometimes I cool it down here with a rag. And because I have been working on these cells, which I have a whole bunch over here and a whole bunch over there and some downstairs where I put them together, I have been working on this since November. And so here it is, June. Middle of June of 2017, and it just takes a while. This is a DIY project, so I'm going to make about a little over 100 of these. And these can be tweaked. Again, this is 6-gauge wires. This is number 4 that I got at Missouri Wind and Solar. I like to plug them because they've been good to me. I have some wind generators also, one of their wind generators. And I'll show you my system. Complete system, because I have 6,000 watts right now. Solar panels generating, and I'm going to add another 6,000 watts, and that's going to be for maintaining these cells, which I want to have about 50 kilowatts of power, backup power. I use about 44 kilowatts a day. So anyway, I just wanted to show you this, cool that down a little bit, so that joint, and I'm going to use my Harbor Freight hydraulic crimper and finish the job. Let's see, 2, 4, 6, 7. This will be 8. Only 92 more to go. I'm taking this off a 500-foot roll of 6-gauge wire. There's a guy, if you look it up under DIY, and it just says Mike. And I think he's from New Hampshire, New England, somewhere up there in the northeast part of the U.S. And he gave me this idea about this 6-wire. I ordered it, and it gave other people ideas about using stranded wire. But again, I paid for this wire. It's not cheap. It's something like $130 or something like that. I mean, I guess that's not terribly expensive. But I don't want to waste it. I can use this for ground wire on my solar panels. And I use 2 types of solar panels. I use in series. And I also use N-phase microinverters. And I like those too, but I don't have that many of those. Most of my 6,000 watts that I produce, in fact all of my 6,000 watts I produce is off series type inverters, Outback and Sunny Boy. I use both Sunny Boy and Outback. Anyway, I have tons of these to do, and this is just a production line. Everything takes time. As I say, I've been working on this since November, but mostly what I've been doing since November is charging cells and measuring cells, and I bought 1,000 pounds of used lithium-ion battery packs. Most of them were from laptop batteries. I'd say 600, 700 pounds were from there. And I went back to the recycler yesterday and I paid $1.60 a pound for them. It cost me $1,600. And I took back 300 pounds of batteries I couldn't use, mostly lithium polymer, which I don't even trust. I wouldn't trust them. Only wanted 18650s. And he gave me 30 cents a pound for them to return the ones he charged me $1.60 for. So keep that in mind. Negotiate the rate. It's possible.